Alright. If it only shows up when I'm editing, then this low-light camera should help me capture whatever's been freaking me out lately. Let's give it a shot.
This is Movie Night. Hello and welcome to Movie Night, in-depth film reviews in less than 5 minutes. I'm your host, Jonathan Paula. A few weeks ago at the Playlist Live YouTube convention in Orlando, I had the opportunity to see a very early screening of the upcoming horror film Unfriended. And not wanting to discuss it all by itself, tonight we'll also be taking a look at its predecessors in the low-budget found footage genre of horror films, beginning with the grandfather of them all, the Blair Witch Project. Following one of the earliest and most effective viral marketing campaigns in history, this horror thriller was released nationwide in the summer of 1999, where it earned almost $250 million in ticket sales. Even though the shoestring budget of $22,000 eventually ballooned to some $600,000 following studio-requested changes and reshoots, this film remains one of the 5 most profitable in history. Directors Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sanchez did things so cheaply, they actually returned one of their digital cameras back to Radio Shack after shooting completed for a full refund. The quick 81-minute story follows a trio of film students who venture deep into the forest outside of Burkittsville, Maryland, to film a documentary on a local myth about the titular creature. Doing all of the camera work themselves, Heather Donahue, Michael C. Williams, and Joshua Leonard star as themselves, a group of eager, hot-headed, and mostly unprepared individuals who find themselves terrorized late at night by unseen entities. Utilizing only a rough outline and improvising the entire picture, these 3 quite literally carry the film on their backs, especially impressive considering how little experience they had as professional actors before setting out into the woods. The R-rated film opens with an unassuming title card that explains everything that follows is recovered footage from a failed expedition. And just like that, an entirely new genre and method of filmmaking was born. Criticism has been plentiful for found footage films, but when done right, it can be a powerful and convincing narrative. While some shots seem almost intentionally shaky and misaligned, the best moments actually feel like you're watching a real adventure from real people. When our 3 protagonists aren't arguing like idiots over getting lost, they're being haunted by weird noises and screams late at night that are undeniably creepy. In the picture's most lasting image, a harshly lit extreme close-up, Heather confesses, "I'm scared to close my eyes. I'm scared to open them." The entirety of the Blair Witch Project hinges on her paralyzing fear, and when she's frightened, so is the audience. This is particularly important as the malevolence that looms over the proceedings is never fully revealed, if it even exists at all.
Take the video camera. No, get the dot ready. Oh, dear! Oh, dear! Go! Fucking go! Oh, God! God! Hurry up! I'm coming!
Filmed on location in the nondescript woods of Maryland in only 8 days, this movie appropriately feels like reviewing an abandoned project. The faux documentary is shot on 16mm film and low-quality video, which capture the action and interviews in the 4:3 frame. Meanwhile, a rumbling score from Tony Cora helps elevate tension during the scarier sequences. Despite the limitations of its predictable plot, which largely amounts to a few white kids bumbling around the woods for an hour, there's no denying that this film was a pioneering effort in the horror genre that inspired countless imitators, and even a direct sequel. The Blair Witch Project is an unsettling experience presented with groundbreaking techniques. And here's what you had to say about it in the YouTube comments. A large spread of opinions here, but we both praise the believable acting and the novel style. We scored this an 8 out of 10. For tonight's poll question, do you like found footage films? Why or why not? Leave your response in the comments below. And now a quick word about tonight's sponsor. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Opinion Outpost, a free online service that lets you redeem cash and gift cards just for filling out some quick online surveys. Hundreds of thousands have already signed up. In fact, there's no catch. So please visit the first link in the description below to get started on earning some extra money. Either way, I appreciate your indulgence, which helps support the show. Our next review tonight is for Paranormal Activity. This supernatural horror film was initially screened at the Screamfest Film Festival in 2007, boy that's a mouthful, before seeing a nationwide release over 2 years later in October of 2009. Written, produced, and directed by Oren Peli, the simple but intriguing concept was filmed on an extremely modest budget of only $15,000. The movie's $193 million take at the box office makes it the single most profitable movie ever made, based on return on investment. To put that another way, Paranormal Activity made an astonishing $13 grand for every $1 spent on production. The 86-minute plot follows a young, attractive couple in San Diego who attempt to document a demon they believe may be terrorizing their house. Katie Featherston and Mika Sloat portray these characters with realistic dialogue, which includes plenty of heated arguments about their situation. While Katie wishes to ignore and retreat, Mika seems more interested in provoking the force and capturing it on camera. Both of them have a vulnerable innocence to them that makes it extremely easy to put yourself in their frightening position. Sharing info we learned while researching demons online, Mika remarks, "They stalk people for years, like decades, and sometimes they're really intelligent in the way they do things to freak you out."
I just had a nightmare. Oh, I'm sorry I didn't mean to scare you. Oh.
You okay?
Yeah.
You sure?
I had. Did you hear that?
What's going on?
No, make it no.
Although the slowly paced film has huge sections where nothing happens, it's these quieter moments that are actually the scariest, as you're just waiting with bated breath for whatever unexplained anomaly will happen next. Tensions heighten slowly throughout the R-rated flick, as we witness the nightly occurrences becoming larger and more aggressive. But the creepiest moments are when Katie awakens in the middle of the night, seemingly in a possessed trance, just to stare at Mika while he sleeps for hours on end. The entire film is shot via an in-universe digital camera, which is frequently mounted on tripods around their house, which, besides allowing for the occasional two-shot, also prevents this self-shot cinematography style from ever becoming too shaky or disorienting. All of the visual trickery here was accomplished with practical in-camera effects, which keeps the picture believable. In an effort to maintain the found footage ruse, the movie doesn't have any credits before or after the film, an extremely rare occurrence I don't think I've ever seen before. Foregoing a traditional score in favor of a low rumbling during the more dramatic scenes, this movie is often more unsettling than outright scary. A surprisingly effective low-budget horror film that kicked off a slew of copycats and a six-picture franchise, this is one movie all horror fans should see at least once, but they might want to wait until the daytime. Paranormal Activity delivers disturbing domestic events despite its low-budget feel. And here's what you had to say about it. One of the most polarizing films we've reviewed yet. Some thought Paranormal Activity was a horrible excuse for cinema, while others praised its ingenuity. Yours scored average to an alright. Even though the plot doesn't really go anywhere, the concept and execution definitely creep me out, so I have to score this a cool. Finally tonight, a look at the upcoming Unfriended. This April 2015 release first premiered at the Fantasia Festival in 2014 under its original title, Cybernatural. But regardless of its name, I predict this extremely low-budget affair will score over $100 million at the box office rather easily. The fast-paced 82-minute story follows a group of online chat room friends who are haunted by a mysterious supernatural force controlling the accounts of their dead friend. The cast of relative unknowns is led by former soap opera star Shelley Hennick, whose anxious breathing and blood-curdling screams are convincing enough to have you panicking right alongside her. The entire narrative is showcased via screen capture. We only ever see our protagonists as they see themselves, through the eyes of their cheap webcams during a Skype conference call. All communication is done through this real-time hangout, as well as parallel private conversations on Facebook. The extremely unique concept is a fresh twist on the found footage style and keeps the picture decidedly realistic. Director Levin Gabrazdi's decision to deliver huge chunks of expositional dialogue through instant messages is a risky move, but it actually pays off. From the familiar sound of a MacBook's keystrokes to hesitation about sending that accusatory Facebook text, this first-person perspective of Henning's laptop gives us insight into her thought process and makes the viewer connect with the protagonist in a very intimate way. Maintaining this presentation for the entire R-rated picture is an ambitious approach, one that is commendably accurate on a technical level. All of the sound effects, programs, and user interfaces are rendered with real legitimacy. The only thing I took issue with was the clock and the status bar, which ran slower than real time for some reason. There are plenty of traditional scares here. Hell, even a misclick to a Wikipedia article got me to jump on one occasion. But it's the disturbing digital obstacles that generate the most fear. When Henning discovers the titular unfriend button is grayed out, the resulting gasp of terror she lets out is a surprisingly effective moment. Her boyfriend tries to reassure her that all of these weird anomalies are probably just a glitch, to which she quickly replies, "Well, the glitch just typed." Later, the unlikable group of teens play a tense game of Never Have I Ever, which culminates with some revealing confessions that threaten their very lives. Although some of the low frame rate webcam footage and poor framing can grow tiresome, this is a very different horror movie, one that provokes a very lean-forward type of response, as you never know where things will go next. Indeed, beneath all of the frightening mind games and unseen violence, this movie also touches upon the theme of bullying and its tragic consequences. Perfectly encapsulating the behavior and mentality of millennials, this movie delivers great psychological horror most teenagers will absolutely love. For everyone else, Unfriended is a captivating melodrama presented in unique fashion. Honestly, I thought it was a great film, and I'd recommend checking it out when it's released. Finally tonight, some tweet critiques to see what you're saying about films currently playing in theaters. If you see a new movie in theaters, tweet your review with the JPMN hashtag. Next week, we'll once again be taking a look at time travel films, with an emphasis on newer releases. Primer, Hot Tub Time Machine, Predestination, Time Lapse, and Project Almanac. If you've seen these movies, share your opinions by voting in the polls below or by leaving a comment review. I read them all and will be including my favorites in the next episode. If you'd like to watch more Movie Night reviews, check out the related videos on the right or click subscribe to be notified of all new content. Also, be sure to follow me on social media for updates and exclusive content between episodes. Once again, my name is Jonathan Paula. Thank you for watching and listening. Until next time, have a good movie night.